inspiration to me is it literally feels like a buzzy sensation in my body, and it starts at my toes and it goes all the way up and it goes through my crown and it just like vibrates like ah. And what it means is that I can take action because I'm full of the right energy. It's like I'm finally connected, to the earth and to the sky, and I can go. I'm ready to go.
Welcome to Inspiration Contagion, where we spread inspiration one story at a time. I am your host, Holly Jean Jackson. Each interview spotlights transformational business leaders, their stories, challenges, and advice for how you too can lead yourself and others through inspiration. Learn how you too can achieve peak performance, build more revenue, and lead the legacy you were meant to lead. Welcome to episode 101. It's going to take a minute to get used to the 100s, y'all. Pretty exciting stuff of Inspiration Contagion. This week, I have an amazing guest who is one of our amazing business partners. Her name is Jeannie Dougherty. She is a money expert. So, hey, tune in. I hope your ears are wide open. Who wanted to make a career change and a mental fitness guide. She's become a mental fitness guide for small business owners and individuals. Jeannie got her start as a money coach after both of her parents passed away from Alzheimer's, and she was running her first business. She realized quickly she needed more than just financial advice. She needed to reprogram her money brain. Sounds very interesting, right? She does this now with her clients one-on-one and in groups as a money boot camp. I think we all could use a money boot camp. She also offers in-depth retirement training for corporations and government employees. With that, welcome, Jeannie.
Thank you so much, Holly Jean. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting to have great conversations with really cool people that have brought us amazing connections around the world. So thank you for everything you've done for us. I want to kick off by asking you one of my favorite questions. What makes you an inspirational leader, or what's your secret sauce?
Oh, both are great questions. But what makes me an inspirational leader is I feel like I'm one of the few financial experts that will come to you and not shame you and not blame you for whatever your money past has been, and get you on the right road. And I can give you the tools that financial experts don't have. So like wealth management doesn't have it. CFPs don't have it. Your uncle doesn't have it who was really good with money, or the stock picking aunt. They don't have that. And so money might have come really easily for them. And it does for some people who've had what I call just a steady life, steady income. The money is really easy. But life is really complex now. So that's one of the things, that's kind of the inspiration. But my secret sauce is that I feel like I had every money problem before everyone else did. Because I'm sort of out of sync. I lost both my parents, and I'm still young, and they were statistical anomalies. Like, there I was in my 20s trying to talk to people about losing my father to Alzheimer's, and I had no peers. I mean, I have anybody within 10 years of me. So I ended up talking to women who were 50s and 60s who had gone through that experience and could give me some support. So losing both my parents really helped me refocus and reshape myself into a person that's like, listen, the world is not always going to go as planned. So we had better have some better skills, which is where the mental fitness piece comes in. And also we'd better be prepared for what's going to be next, which is, the market is expected to make a correction. It probably will happen in the merry month of October. This is not news, but it will be when it happens, right? So it's just, being okay with the information and integrating it in a way that makes sense to you without being like, the market's going to make a correction, as it does every year in October.
Oh, goodness. I know as you say that, people are probably like, their shoulders are going up to their ears like earrings. Their breath is becoming short. They are starting to feel their cortisol stress levels elevate. But y'all, here's the thing is, my business has made it through COVID. It's made it through the first correction and how the economy was slowing. And what's kind of wild to me is I'm hearing from some industries today that, the market is already not doing well. The economy's already struggling. And yet my business is growing like bonkers. So
yeah,
mindset is everything. It's a pretty badass superpower and secret sauce to have, is to help people with their money mindset. Because I got to tell you, in the work that I do with my clients, a lot of it is mindset. And ultimately, I think in a lot of fields, it's fear that keeps us back. It's our negative beliefs, negative thinking, negative thoughts, all the stories we tell ourselves from childhood or from the past. And as soon as we can let that go, it's amazing what opens up. Yeah.
Exactly. And also the economy is really individual, and it's even when we get down to communities or different countries, it's still very individual. But in order to influence the population, and I mean the global population, they try to tell us what the trends are. And I'm not saying that any of the trends are wrong or bad, but instead of taking that as information and going, oh, I see, so gas prices are going to go up, and I know what else I can do with my money. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a very different take than what most people are just kind of subconsciously or automatically doing, where they're freaking out and they're like, I'm not going to invest in my business. And I'm really concerned that things are going to hit the fan. Guys, make some informed decisions. Make sure you know how you're going to have some runway, maybe have a little bit saved up, especially if you're a solopreneur or business owner.
Yeah.
But don't stop investing and growing. Don't let the trends affect you. Be the outlier. And what I mean by that is be intentional, like be aware of what's happening in the market and the economy, but at the same time, don't let that hold you back from continuing to grow, because it is possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Jeannie, I want to ask you, what does inspiration mean to you?
Inspiration to me is, it literally feels like a buzzy sensation in my body, and it starts at my toes and it goes all the way up and goes through my crown, and it just like vibrates like, ah. And what it means is that I can take action because I'm full of the right energy. It's like I'm finally connected, to the earth and to the sky, and I can go. I'm ready to go.
That is a very specific description. I like that. I like that you can describe the physical essence of inspiration for yourself. And what I would say to our listeners, because that's a very unique response to that question that I don't think we've heard specifically, is the more you can become aware of what inspiration feels like for you as an individual, the more you can make aligned decisions on where you should take action. So like Jeannie just said, she feels that buzzy feeling. It's a vibration. It's like high vibes. It feels good. And she can feel that sense. And because she knows that she's aligned to her inspiration, that's where she can take aligned action, where you're not getting as much resistance. You're not feeling any blocks. And that can be very powerful.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, real success is really an internal piece. Like, one of the things that's not talked about enough is that money is really an inside game, and meaning inside your head and inside your heart, than it is really on the outside, which is just watch your numbers, watch them grow or watch them fall, whatever you want to do. But, and that's not what we're taught in childhood. That's not necessarily we're taught as entrepreneurs. Even like typical standard business coaches are great saying like, here's how we can, create a business. Maybe you do all the LLC stuff or whatever it is that you're doing. Or they're going to say like, here's how you develop your sales and marketing plan. And then it falls apart because folks are not sure if this is the right thing for them. Like I listen to other sales and marketing geniuses out there because I feel like I'm still learning. I get my inspiration from people who are way more masterful, than I am when it comes to things, in business, that I feel like I'm getting better every day. Sales and marketing that's my motto. I'm getting better every day at my sales and marketing. But what I learned from them is that, first of all, they've had so many failures, but that it doesn't really matter the strategy. It's really your willingness to do the strategy. And that's where I kind of come in as a money expert, is that when people have already had the business coaching, they've had the sales coaching, they've had the marketing coaching, and they're still not doing it. And you're like, well, what is it that you're looking for? And as I gave you the example with inspiration, like I can feel it through my body from my head to my toes. I know what I can do, and I'm going to go do it. You can't bottle that stuff up. There's no AI that can possibly find that for you, write it down for you. It's something only you can do. And it's not that hard. It's not like you have to go on some quest and a journey to find it. But when you're like, oh, I'm ready to go do this, instead of listening to all the lies in my head.
Yeah. I love that. Money is an inside game, your heart and your head.
Yeah.
And my goodness, yeah, it's interesting that the people who've already done all those things come to you. I'm kind of the same. People will come to me and they say, Holly Jean, everybody, I've gone to everybody under the sun for marketing and lead generation, all these things, and nothing has worked. And what we discover is, well, first of all, unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that are kind of scammy and slimy in the sales and marketing space. It's just the reality of life and business. But second of all, it is about really hearing and meeting them where they are and finding a strategy that aligns and fits with their personality and their legacy. And that's super key. And then for me, it's having business partners like Jeannie if they need to go really deep on the money stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, I have somebody who's going to help you. Her name's Jeannie. She's great.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to move on and chat a bit about peak performance. I'd like to hear how you define peak performance and how did you arrive at this definition?
Oh, okay. So I'm so glad you're asking me this question. So peak performance is being relaxed. It's being productive. It's being focused. It has nothing to do with output in my mind. And I arrived at that because one of the things I've learned in my career, especially even as a business owner, is that I'm highly capable. So I've taken on a lot of projects in my life when I had a job, but also as an entrepreneur, I'm like, oh, I can do this, and that. Like, I'm just one of those women that I'm like, I want to know how to do something. I'm an experiential learner. So I go and do it and then I know it, right? But I had a lot of tension in my body. And so the tension would cause all kinds of like physical stuff. So I'd have like aches and pains. I had stress, like stress gut and stuff like that. And I could go on and on and on. And what I realized is that my approach was like tight fisted, like white knuckling my way through all this, minutia. And that wasn't peak performance. Although if you would have looked at my numbers or my output, you're like, wow, this one's really good. This woman's checklist is like off the chart. No, my peak performance wasn't there because if you would have asked me, what's your favorite part of the business? I would have been like, oh, it's actually not doing all this other stuff. It's actually transforming people's lives. And that's not as easy to quantify, but you know it when you know it. You see it when you see it, and you can feel it and they can feel it when you're in that zone. So peak performance is like drop the tension, find out where it is in your body, drop it, and go in there and just try to, be as present tense as you can and start moving through what's there, which could be a lot of resistance, maybe from you, maybe from them, hard to say, probably a little bit of both, right? And then you're able to finally go like, let's achieve. And even if you only got one or two things get done, it's life changing. Like, it's like profound. It's amazing. And then money is completely changed in their heads. And that's why I do what I do. Is I was like, I really want people just to drop all this heaviness around money, which is a lot of tension.
Drop the heaviness around money. My goodness, if people could take that to heart, quite literally, the world would be a much more magical place. I love this definition of peak performance because, yeah, I remember when I worked in corporate America, I was a top producer, top performer, got all the bonuses, got all the accolades. And yet I would get laid off, and with each layoff, have this massive, really negative health experience. And to me, luckily, I recognized that pattern. And that's why I created my own business so that I could break that cycle and find and create a business and company that supports my zone of genius and what I love to do. And of course, I can't say all 6 years of starting the business were completely tension free because that's just not realistic. But I do try and strive to be as tension free, as present as possible, and go with the flow as much as possible. And I feel like the theme from today that's coming up is let go. Let go of the tension, let go of the need to control, let go of all the old limiting beliefs around money and sales and marketing, and just be in your zone of genius. That's where the magic in your business happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. And letting go is a practice. It's not like, oh, I've let go and the angels are singing and butterflies are flying and there's rainbows everywhere. It's never like that. It's like, okay, give an inch. No, I gotta, it's, that's how we learn it. It's like we learn to slowly pull our foot off the brake.
Yeah, it's similar to I'm taking this class about mindset for rock climbing. It's called Strong Mind. It's
Ooh,
delightful.
wow.
Yeah, Hazel Finley, she's a badass. And but what it's so assimilated to the work that we do with our clients. And to me, it's almost like doing fall practice when you're rock climbing, letting go, trusting the equipment, trusting your belay partner. So if you reframe this for business, the letting go and the process of that is taking a small failure initially
Yeah.
and then taking a bigger risk and surviving that might fail. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting. I've had some conversations recently where I was starting to put a lot of pressure on myself and falling back into that whole perfectionism nonsense that doesn't even exist, and was reminded by some really close advisors, hey, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to learn from them, and you're going to fix it. So yeah, baby steps into falling, baby steps of letting go, baby steps into bigger risks in your business. And you guys, you are going to fail. The
Oh,
only
yes.
thing, the only thing that matters is you learn from each of these failures.
You will
And
lose money. It will happen. There will be a shady deal or something that, all the numbers on paper said it should have gone and it won't go. And that's good. That's the positive side of it, because every billionaire on the planet and millionaire has lost money in deals. Sometimes it was so heir apparent to everyone else but them. Or, like my favorite like corporation story that it always makes me smile. So you know what Febreze is, the stuff you
I
spritz,
do,
right?
yes.
Spritz to get rid of this, feel fresh, and so you don't have to smell the stuff. When they started it, this $1 million RD product research and design, it literally was going nowhere. It was going absolutely nowhere. People weren't like, well, what am I supposed to smell like? Like they didn't get it. Like it was just, and you're like, what? And then they realized they had to like sell people on the mindset of like, you're going to smell different or you're going to smell cleaner. Like, and so they had, I kid you not, they had a test subject, this woman, I mean, bless her heart, she loved animals, but she worked with a lot of skunks, if you know what I mean. And so her car and her home and her clothes sometimes were skunked. And it's this Febreze thing that actually saved her dating life. She could finally go on a date again because she didn't smell. And it was, that was and they were like, oh, we need to not like go to that extreme of skunk smell, but like, your house will smell fresher instead of dirty sneakers, or it won't smell like dirty dishes or whatever's going on. And then people were like, I can make my house smell better. And people won't know all the little grimy details that are going on unless they, go and inspect. And all of a sudden it took off. And now it's like, Febreze is like, master brand. But it didn't start off that way. They lost millions to start. And they
Yeah.
just had to go back to the board. These geniuses in marketing and sales were like, oh. And they had to go do testing with the skunk lady. That's how I always remember this brand. Success with
Oh
the skunk
man.
lady.
Success with the skunk lady. I love that. I love that.
After they lost millions.
Yeah. And that's the reality, you guys, is when you start your business or you pivot in your business, you are going to make mistakes. You're going to lose money. That's just part of doing business, the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
And it's the cost of growing in your business and being aggressive about that growth so that you stay relevant, which you want to remain relevant. You want to be an active learner. So let go of perfectionism and learn from your mistakes.
Definitely.
Now, Jeannie, I'm sure that you had some challenges and
Oh.
obstacles along the way to your journey to peak performance. What were some of those?
Oh, so many. Which one? For me, as a money expert, what really transformed my business were my business relationships, and I will explain. So I learned that I'm pretty peppy, pretty outgoing. Not that's surprising, but I didn't always have a good match with somebody. So somebody would want to team up with me, and they were very low energy, and they talk like this. They weren't sure how much time and energy they were going to be able to commit to the project. Whatever it was. And so we would go and do something, and then they would just kind of show up and be like, oh, it didn't work. And I was like, well, you didn't talk to anybody about the project. You didn't do it. They just wanted to, fly on my coattails. So like, that was like a big red flag for me. Oh, if somebody doesn't have the same energy, enthusiasm, or even list size, maybe not. It's not so you can't work with them, but you just don't want to maybe go 50-50. I also learned that a lot of people, unfortunately, this is a big newsflash, but a lot of people are not always honest about their own businesses. And so you want to kind of check them out a little bit before you agree to do something. So what does that mean when they say they want to do an event? Like, what do they have a plan? Do they have an idea? Are they relying on you? Again, list size. Like, those are just some simple examples. The third one, which was like a really big one, was clients. Having people pay you on time. I think that's going to be like a thing that business owners we will always deal with. It doesn't matter if you're brick and mortar or online. People should pay you on time, or at least work out a payment arrangement if there's been a change, right? That's normal. It does happen, but sometimes people just, up and ghost you, or so you have to kind of look at who are you willing to let in to your, your products or your things. I remember years ago when Netflix remember they were like DVDs. And so they had to factor in that people would not return the movies, right? That's so funny to me, but they had to factor that in as a cost or a loss in their business, excuse me, because they just knew there was a percentage of people who would order, didn't matter what the movie was, they were not going to return it. And so then, hopefully they had enough money on their card that they could get charged whatever it was to pay for that DVD. But that's like, an example of it. There was still a percentage of people who never paid them for the movies that they bought. And they had to just accept that. So if you look at it, that the people who won't pay you should be less than like 3% of all your transactions, then you're doing pretty good. But I've met people, it's as high as 50%.
Ooh.
And you're like, how are you in business? And surprised they're not very well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty scary, 50%. Yeah, the people we interact with, whether it's business partners, referral partners, our clients, you want to be very intentional about who you work with, partner with, bring into your, center focal world, because your vibe and your tribe is really crucial for being successful. And if you're attracting clients that don't have respect and willingness to pay you, and also, like Liz was sharing here, you want to make sure that not Liz, sorry, Jeannie, I'm having a moment today. My
it's
brain,
okay.
my goodness. Like, why did I call her Liz?
I don't know. Who is Liz? She must be fabulous.
She's delightful. She's delightful. I think it's somebody you introduced me to, but I digress. Anyways, if you're not bringing people that are the right vibe into your world, whether it's clients or partners, this is a huge mistake, and it will come and bite you. And that's why understanding your intuition and inspiration and when you are in alignment is so key, because we all have done this. We've all said, intuition says you feel like a little slimy, a little off about that client, and you bring them on. And then 2 months later, 6 months later, a year later, like, oh my gosh, I should have listened to that small voice inside of me. That was a huge mistake. So yes, you guys want to have some deal breakers. This is who this is for. This is who it's not for. Equally important. If you are not an action taker, you do not want to work with Holly Jean. If you don't trust me, you don't want to work with me. It's not going to work. It's a partnership. It's consulting. Same thing, I'm sure, goes with Jeannie. So have some of those pre-qualifiers and stick to them.
And then this always brings up that magical question of, do you give a refund? Now, I would say most people, when they're honest, they will say like, there are no refunds. We'll stick to it, and I think it'll be okay. But we all know there's always that one person who will like, I'm going to blast you on social media and say you didn't do anything. And again, you have no control over that. So again, it's that less than 3%. If there's one person out there that's just like, I don't like you, then you're probably doing okay.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, there is always that one person. Like, it happens. That's how you know you've arrived. So don't let it get to you. It's happened to me as well. So you just like go, oh, okay, cool, bye. All right. So how do you create a culture of peak performance in your company, Jeannie?
I create a culture of peak performance by listening. I've got to listen to my folks. So like, I'm the one, like, this is how I see it is, I'm the visionary and I'm the leader. So I'm setting the pace. Like I'm saying, we got to get it done hopefully by Friday, whatever it is, but I also have to say like, do you think you're going to make it? Like, is this too tight of a, turnaround? Tell me what's going on. Or are they just going to say, listen, I'm not going on vacation. I don't think I can get this done. Okay. Can you get one piece done and the rest don't worry about it? Yeah, that's good. I have seen this even happen. There was a real estate agent, and I knew it happened to her, and I was just like, oh. But she would hire somebody, and the very next day they would say thank you, meaning they get paid like up front, and then they would go on vacation for 2 weeks. And I was like, and she was on a deadline. She had to like, get something done in a house or something. So, like there are those times that could happen, but then I would remind them, like, don't keep hiring them, or next time ask them up front, if you have a vacation that you need to take, I want to know right away. I want to know when it is, so then I know I can prepare and plan for that. Otherwise it's good. And I met another business owner. It happened to her. She literally paid them up front. They went on vacation for a month and put it all over social media. So it can happen to you. So I find if you can listen, then you can also hear like, well, how are you doing with your family? Are you looking forward to anything? Versus if you're like business, 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 you're not listening to probably something that's going on with this other person, which is, oh, now I have that money. I promised my family a vacation. And it's like, okay, well, that's not terrible, but is this the right person for you?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's why I think from a perspective of customer experience as well, when you're onboarding someone, you want to be honest. If you can't get started right away, there's nothing worse than creating additional buyer's remorse in that onboarding experience. If you're going to be out of town, that's pretty wild. That's why communication and listening is so key.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because people will tell on themselves. That's the thing. Like this one particular woman with a real estate agent, like he was talking about taking his son out and And I was like, wow, I would have done a quick follow question. When do you take him? On the weekends? Or now that it's summer, are you taking him during the week?
Yeah.
She never thought.
Yeah, it's important to ask those follow-up questions for sure. The more information we have, the better and clearer our picture is. Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of pivot a little bit, and I'd love to hear how you've incorporated peak performance into your employee experience, if you have any employees that you're working with.
I don't have any employees, thank God. Okay. I feel like I'm not quite ready for that. And I say that with a lot of humility and wisdom. I'm not ready yet for employees, because I feel like I have been evolving so quickly that I could see from the outside looking in, I would look very confusing.
And very wise.
Yeah. Well, think about it. People say, well, our mission is, and the next thing you know, there's like 20 other things you're doing. And there's nothing more discombobulating when somebody tells me like, oh, the reason I'm leaving corporate America is that they keep telling me whatever, like my job fits this part of the mission. That's not what's happening day to day. And I might as well go do something else. And you're like, you're clicking in, because a lot of people think they sound exactly what they think they sound like to everyone else. And it's like, no, you do not. And I pay attention to when I ask my folks, the people that I hire that totally save my bacon, like they'll say, I'm not clear on this. And I'd be like, oh, thank you for that. Cause I thought it was totally clear in the text message and the email and the phone call. And they're like, nope, you're not clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important to know when you're ready to bring on consultants, bring on employees, and you certainly do need to have a lot of clarity of your mission and your vision, the values of the culture you're trying to create, and a clear idea of, standard operating procedures of your customer experience, your sales process, all of these things, so that it actually makes sense, so that your money is being wisely invested in the right people and you're creating a great employee experience. So very, very wise. So we'll pivot a little bit. We're going to talk about your favorite topic. We're going to talk about revenue and money.
I love that one.
All right, Jeannie, when have you left money on the table and what did you do to fix it?
So I left money on the table with this one particular vendor who I realized I probably was going to have to, because I didn't read the contract very carefully. And I thought that I was well within my rights. And it turns out I owed a few thousand more. And I was like, I should have asked more questions. But really, this was like the light bulb moment for me, is that I realized, as you were talking about before, the customer experience, when I was the customer, so they were really like, oh, we're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of you. It's going to be amazing. It was. But then as I was working, with this person who was not a leader, not sure what they were supposed to be doing, they couldn't guide me or tell me other things because the big brain was off getting bigger contracts. I get that in business, right? But my customer experience was one of like, I was starting to feel like it was a job or a duty, like, oh, I completed this task, but I didn't feel any reward from it. So I thought to myself, oh, if I had challenged, if I had asked more questions, I don't mean challenge like screaming and yelling. I mean like, well, how do you know this is a really good result? Or how do you know this is going to be good? Because I feel like I'm coming up with ideas, but I'm not entirely sure what else I can do. I'm not sure what else you're doing either. Like I didn't know what they were doing. So I just thought to myself, oh, the reason that you lost the money is because I wasn't active. I wasn't taking more of a leadership role. I thought I was being supported, but when I look back on it for the last like month or well, actually 2 months, I was like, no, I'm just like in autopilot. And comfort gets us every time.
Ooh, comfort gets us every time. Yeah. Listeners, guys, if you're hearing this and you're wondering where you've left money on the table, maybe do an assessment of where you're in autopilot and look at your data points and numbers there and see if you're leaking profit or losing revenue there, because this is very real. Where we get cocky or comfortable, that's where we can lose a lot of money and have pretty massive profit leaks. And this is why it's important to also, as a leader, have some core tenets of what you want to optimize successfully, whether it's your customer experience, your business partnerships, and making sure you have a lot of delight moments. And like we were sharing earlier, listening, staying in tune and having a pulse of your people so that you can pivot and still offer tons of value. And I love this point that you shared about really being in that place of curiosity when you're bringing on a contractor, a vendor, an employee. You want to ask as many follow-up questions as possible and not leading questions, open-ended questions, and what I like to call star questions. So ask them, give me an example of X, Y, and Z. And star stands for they explain the situation, the task, the action, and the result. The more we have a clear picture of people's actual situation and how they behave, how they show up, what's happening in their personal life, what's their professional background, then we can cross our T's and dot our I's and feel much better about moving forward with trust, respect, and confidence. So those are just a few key things that I wanted to highlight from that really great answer. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is the next shiny object you want to turn into a new revenue stream?
Oh, well, I'm doing it now. Okay, so not everybody knows this, but we said this earlier, but both my parents passed away from Alzheimer's. So I've created a caregiver conference, and that is a true passion. Let me tell you, that was a lot of work last year. I did my very first one, and I was so humbled by the experience, but I'm going to do it again this year because I promised myself I'm going to do this for 5 years because I feel like I need to penetrate the market and I got to give myself time and willing to fail. And so this year it's going to be so awesome because I already have that first year done. So I'm going to be like, I know what I'm doing now. So let's go. But my next shiny object was like we were talking about data points is really listening to my market. The number one question I get is how do I make more money? So I was like, oh, well, let me create a money making course, which is currently in beta testing. It will be ready at the end of this month. Very exciting. And I realized that not everybody wants to or understands or cares, quite frankly, about rewiring their money brain. What they care about is the cash. They want the money. So, and I get that too. Because again, if you only understand money as an outside thing that shows up, then that's all you're going to focus on anyway. But if you are a little worried, like it's a little too woo-woo to work on the inside game, then let's talk about your choices and your skills and how you can navigate from the external piece, but also just give you a little hint of what does it really mean to work on the inside by making it a little bit more skill-based for you. And I find that is pretty cool as an idea, but also it's something that I'm also passionate about. Like that's, like you said, I had to get into my business to make me happy, not to make a corporation happy.
I love that. Yeah. Who doesn't want to make more money and know how to make more money? That sounds like a pretty compelling offer. We will have to make sure you give us the link for that since this will be going live the end of this month. So people can sign up.
I know. Oh, it's very exciting.
What magical timing.
I
Yeah,
know.
and you guys hear how she is taking actions with her next two shiny objects, not all of them at once, but they're also very legacy aligned, very specific to what she really wants and loves, the caregiver conference, but also listening to her audience and her market by providing the money making course. When you take action on both of those pieces, you are very aligned to be successful, which goes back to that inner piece, how this is an inside job. When you're aligned to what you are here on this planet to do, and you share that on a regular basis when you have sales calls, interactions, you partner with people, who's going to say no to you for that? It's going to make you more compelling, more unique, more of a human that they're excited to work with to help you achieve that solution, that mission, that vision, that thing. And then when you listen to your market and you offer value to help them get past their stuck points and their pain points, that is the magical point in business where things just open up and money flows. And I know that's what y'all want.
Yeah, and you want to have impact, because one of the biggest falsehoods about money, or what I call like the money mind virus, is just go for the money, just go for the money. Well, every person who just got rich or went after whatever the money was then makes it, and then they go, the rest of my life is horrible. And it's like, yeah, you put the money before everything, including your own health, your own sanity, and your own family. And so here you are wondering, I got to the top, I made my million, and it sucks. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah. Make sure you keep your impact, your legacy aligned to where you are earning money, and that's the magic spot. That's the sweet spot. All right, this has been an amazing interview, Jeannie. We're going to do 2 wrap-up questions. What is the best piece of advice you would share with others today?
the best piece of inspiration, contagion advice I would give for folks today is to look around and see who inspires you and see if you want to support them. Meaning, you don't have to. Just because they inspire you doesn't mean you're like, and we're totally aligned and everything's going to work out. But do you want to support them? Secondly, I would say, would somebody be willing to support you? Because I've met more people who are money makers because they absolutely can feel that money inside of them with their new product or service. And they will talk about it in a way that they're like, Holly Jean, I've got to tell you about my idea. I want to do this. And then people are like, I'm going to give you 10,000. It doesn't happen from somebody talking like this. Hi, Holly Jean. I'm here. Would you like to hear about my offer? It's truth. That's energy. That's energy.
Yeah. And it all relates to energy, your sales calls, your marketing, your relationships, your community, your money, all of these things. I'm getting all fired even saying that. Like, yes, because I feel that, right? It's different when you feel what you express and what you say, people can sense that. They can also sense it when you're making it up. So don't be an Eeyore. I love Eeyore, but don't be that. All right. What's the legacy you wish to leave behind?
My legacy that I wish to leave behind is that I wish to help thousands, if not tens of thousands, of business entrepreneurs, particularly women and people of color. I really want them to break through this money mind virus if they can't do it. They can run a business however they want, so they can still support themselves, their communities, and they can be $1 million money makers. Because let me tell you, if we have more people representing millionaire, whatever that looks like to you, and the wealth is a little bit more equitably distributed, this country, as well as the globe, will look very different. Instead of it's the same old people in power have all the money.
Yeah, that is a pretty badass mission and legacy. I love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that we're business partners so that we can be part of that solution with you. Because it would be so great if we had more. So what she is sharing for her legacy is similar to mine. This is, by the way, I'll share this story just because for those of you who are listening, you're trying to figure out who are good business partners for you. This is important. So you heard her legacy. our legacy at Holly Jean Jackson LLC is to help heal the world by supporting small business owners who are heart-centered and they're doing good in communities, right? So we have that ripple effect by supporting those people. So we're basically, if you can hear that, slightly different nuance in terms of how we're getting there, but it's aligned. And that's what you want to look for when you're finding business partners and referral partners, and that's trusted, supported tribe and community that you need as you take those bigger risks, you have those failures, so that you're reminded that, hey, I've been there too. You're going to get through this. Thank you so much again, Jeannie. I really appreciate it. And by the way, y'all, if you're interested in learning more about Jeannie, we're going to have all the links for how you can contact her, including her new Moneymaker class, which you should check out so that we can be part of the solution and the legacy we just talked about. Thanks, Jeannie.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, listeners, we will see you on our next episode. Stay inspired, do good, and go after your legacy. Thank you for joining the show today. I hope you were inspired. More importantly, I hope you take action. If the show inspired you, I ask that you subscribe and share it with your network. Let's spread inspiration together today.